Hi, Roy here. Storm Eowyn is whirling around us, so this is one of those storms that they give a name to because it's super dangerous. Eowyn, they've named a storm after a character in Tolkien, so it's like it's a tie-in storm, a pastiche storm perhaps, which is mainly about high winds. If you hear a sort of Wuthering Heights type howling, that's why. Anyway, Filmtastic February is nearly upon us, so that is a month of reading books related to movies. I'll link to various announcement videos down below. It's created by Annie at Obscure Book Adventures and hosted by Duncan, back away from the donkey, who's made some great trailers, and myself. So that's going to be good. And in the run-up, I thought I'd do a sort of a show and tell kind of thing about different types of tie-in books. So the event includes non-fiction, biographies, magazines, but leaving those aside and looking just at the sort of fictional type of things, so where the fictional elements of movies, rather than like the reality of the actors and directors, are, what am I going to say, they make a book in some way. In lots of ways. It's a taxonomy of tie-ins. So, in no particular order, sometimes the book pre-exists the film. So when the film's out, they issue the book with film related stuff on the cover. So text of the book still the same, but you get a nice film tie-in cover. So here we have Saturday Night and Sunday Morning by Alan Silito, classic sort of kitchen sink drama, British film. I guess, was he an angry young man?
He probably was angry.
He was a bit cross young man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, according to this,
Hopping mad.
it's a novel of today with a freshness and raw fury that makes room at the top look like a vicarage tea party. Filmed by Woodall Productions starring Albert Finney, and they've done a nice painting of the character with a sort of Albert Finney face. Then on the back you get a still from the movie, rendered into quite an attractive duotone. So there's that sort of thing. This Witchfinder General, also from Pan Books. Again, the book was already around, and they turned a historical account of the depredations of Matthew Hopkins, the Witchfinder General, into a movie, and that's photographs on the front, photographs on the back. Lovely stuff. Oh, here's another one. Alistair MacLean's Ice Station Zebra. Patrick McGoohan is having a fight on the front, and in a tense situation on the back. I was taken to see this as a little kid when I was way too young to understand the movie. It's kind of a thriller, and the reels were in the wrong order, so it didn't even make sense to the grown-ups. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I am.
Just Patrick McGoohan's having a fight fits to the theme tune of Andy Pandy. Patrick McGoohan's having a fight, la 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 la.
Andy Pandy's coming to play, la 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 la.
Andy Pandy's coming to play, la 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 la. See?
Yeah, good. So I was more at an Andy Pandy age when I was taken to see Ice Station Zebra.
Oh, good Lord, really?
Yeah, I was like 7 or something. I think I was so good as the solemn little chap I was that they was like, yeah, take him to the pictures, take him to a grown-up restaurant, do all the things we were going to do anyway. He won't mind.
That's made you the fine man you are today.
More loosely, this edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley isn't a specific tie-in to any of the movie versions, but they've illustrated the front with a Boris Karloff type of Frankenstein monster head, so it still sort of relates to films in some way. So that's one kind of thing. Then you've got novelisations. So movie comes out, and based on the script and, you know, maybe some stills and things like that, as the film's produced, somebody produces a book, like Annie. Not Annie, the founder of the feast of this event. This is Little Orphan Annie, and written by Leonore Fleischer, who did lots and lots of novelisations. Much longer ago, I don't know when novelisations started, and there were novelisations of plays, like in the 19th century, before movies, but I got this book, Havoc. So Havoc was a movie, a silent film, in 1925, a war film, quite a big deal at the time. And the concept of the novelisation must have been so new that the publishers felt they needed to sort of explain it in a foreword. So this is the Reader's Library Film Edition. Has been instituted to meet a real modern demand. Interest in a film is by no means exhausted merely by seeing it. The two arts, or forms of expression, the picture and the written word in book form, react one on the other. Imagination, stimulated by the film, is yet not satisfied until its story is wholly absorbed. In a word, the filmgoer wishes also to read the book of the film, and the reader to see the picture. Got that?
Yep,
to meet this undeniable call for literature associated with the film, it would be not enough to produce books of inferior quality. The publisher's aim, therefore, has been to present them in clear type, on excellent paper. Not sure that's quite what happened. And with beautiful and durable bindings. Publication will coincide with the appearance of each new and important film. Nothing of this kind has ever before been possible, even in the days when book production has been least expensive.
Blimey.
To render it possible now, it will be necessary that each volume should have a sale of hundreds of thousands of copies, and that many volumes of the series should in due course find their way into nearly every home, however humble, in the British Empire. What? Oh yeah, novelisations, they're a thing, and there's a whole week of looking at those in Filmtastic February. So sometimes your novelisation or tie-in book is an abridgment. So here's The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. Book of the film. Obviously it didn't start its life as a film, it started as a book by Charles Dickens. But what these dudes have done is brought out a selected chapters that, in the choice of chapters and in the order they're put, match the film. So they sort of cut and paste a novelisation together out of a Charles Dickens book. Clever stuff. It's a genuine pocket book as well, so as a focus. As an aside, I'd have to say I love their logo of a kangaroo reading a book with another book in its pouch, as if it gives birth to books, or at least suckles them, and its non-reading paw in a jaunty way sort of on its side.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's probably the best thing ever.
The best thing ever.
Or sometimes it has to be an expansion. So the original story, the film, it might be based on something quite short. The novelisation needs to be bigger to sort of match the film and do justice to it. E.g. 2001: A Space Odyssey, based on a short story called The Sentinel, then novelised by Arthur C. Clarke as a full-length book afterwards. So they can get smaller, they can get bigger. Then you got your graphic novels as well, or sort of comic book adaptations. So here's science fiction movie from the 70s, Logan's Run, which became a a few comics. So Marvel got the rights. It took them 5 issues to adapt the film. Then they started doing some other stuff and realised they didn't really have the rights to do that, so it all stopped. But you know, it's different. I mean, I know they're both sequential art and they're both visual, but obviously you've got the way the illustrations work and so on. Different aesthetic to the movie. But we're back in the days when you couldn't like just get a VHS or whatever, so it was a way of reliving the film. Talking of 2001, adapted into comic book form, and I might do a whole 2001 thing one of these years, because I think it's interesting, the different comic book adaptations and follow-ups and the way the book relates to the film. This amuses me. Then you've got the sort of further adventures of, or expanding the universe type of things. So Star Trek, there are books, many books that are not direct adaptations of episodes or movies. I believe this was the first one, Mission to Horatius. Doctor Who, gazillions of tie-in books as well. So, you know, it's either the same characters doing new things, or it could even be new characters, new stories. So I believe there are Star Trek books that have completely new minted characters, but within the Star Trek setting and the universe and the way it works. Another sort of expand the universe things, stuff like character diaries, Mr. Hudson's diaries, so upstairs, downstairs, historical series, various characters got backstories done in diary form as part of the whole tie-in process. Or even things like cookbooks. Now, I said I was only doing fictional, but these usually have some sort of framing fictional element, so they're making out that the characters have written the recipes, which are real recipes that you can go and make, which I always think is weird. It's like the fictional universe of the show, in this case soap opera Crossroads. If you make one of the dishes and eat it, it's like you've assimilated molecules from the world of fiction. You know, you are, in what your body's now actually partly made of, part of the world of the story, I think. And finally, now there's probably loads more, I didn't like research this or anything, so comment if you can think of different variations. The Annual, a very British thing, hardback books, this size and shape, coming out around Christmas, and these are like all of the preceding, really, because it's a sort of you know, well, this one again relates to a soap opera, compact. So you're getting things like stories. You might get some non-fiction stuff as well, like making of or stuff about the actors. You might get comic strips. Yeah, just a sort of a riot of tying in this, wrapped up for you, put under the Christmas tree by Santa Claus on the 25th of December. So that's my show and tell of some movie tie-in type of books. I'll be looking at some of those and some others during Filmtastic February, which starts next week. Okay, bye then.